seat taken?
Nobody's in the seat that I ain't taking, friend.
So this is, Sabacc?
Sabacc.
What is up? What is up? What is back? Welcome back to Sabacc the Block, your favorite Star Wars show. Obviously, guys, I've always been here with Emma Fyffe. Emma Fyffe is running a little bit late today. She should be here in a little bit. She's been dealing with some work stuff. She's getting through that. No worries about that because I'm here with you, anyone and everyone in the chat. And I'm obviously here with the king, the one who does it all, Mr. RB3. What's up, bro?
Yeah, what's going on? What's going on, people? Happy to be here on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon talking Star Wars. What's good? What's good?
Yeah, I'm vibing with all this new Star Wars stuff. I'm obviously going to talk about all the new Star Wars shows. I'm super excited to get into it. We're going to get into the Mandalorian show as well, guys, because that episode was awesome. I loved it so much. This is probably my favorite Mandalorian episode. I'll talk about that a lot more, but either way, guys, let's get into the Star Wars news that we talked about a little bit on First Cut, right, RB3? But now we're going to talk about it a lot more, especially because this is a Star Wars show, so that's kind of what we do. Let's get into the Star Wars news, man.
I heard a story about you. I was wondering if it's true.
Alrighty, guys, so Star Wars news of today is obviously the new Disney investor meeting that was announced. In this investor meeting, we got Lucasfilm producing a couple new films, some of them Star Wars related, some of them not Star Wars related. Obviously, we won't specifically talk about Willow and Children of Blood and Bone, even though I'm excited for those projects. We're going to focus mainly right now in the movie portion about the two movies that were officially announced, which is first off, obviously, the Taika Waititi show. I mean, the Taika Waititi movie that is being written by the screenwriter of 1917. I have her name pulled up here. It is Christy Wilson Cairns. Either way, 1917, if you've seen anything behind the scenes in that movie, I've seen a little bit of the Blu-ray features behind the scenes. The script writing of that movie is so efficient, it's so well done, and it's so portioned out that fits not only the action of the movie, but the emotional moments and beats. That girl is a beast writer, so I'm so excited what they're going to bring, but we knew that was coming. The one that's new, guys, is Patty Jenkins is doing a new Star Wars movies all about pilots, mainly probably X-Wing pilots, but it's called Rogue Squadrons. We kind of got confirmation that it's not officially a spin-off or a focus on the video game that's also called Rogue Squadron. So it's not essentially the same story that's inside the video game. But I'm super curious to hear the chat's thoughts on these two projects, because I know that these two movies are obviously going to be the major projects inside this new Star Wars launch. I gotta say, guys, the first thing is my excitement mainly goes towards the Taika Waititi movie, mainly because of the mystery of it, right, RB3? It's mainly the thing that we don't know anything about it. We don't know what it's about, what it's based on. Is it original? Is it new characters that Taika Waititi has come up with? Is it going to be based on the High Republic? Because that's the new novels and the books that are coming out that I know is getting a lot of attention too. A couple Star Wars YouTube channels and a couple Star Wars Twitter people have already read the books and have reviewed the books and are really enjoying them. So if it's about the books, I would actually be excited too, but it could also be an original new property, something new and something we've never seen before. So that's why I think if I have to rate excitement level, I'm going to rate Taika slightly higher because I don't know what it is. I don't know if you feel the same way, RB3, if you care. If you're not there, it's all good, bro.
I am here. I like the Taika Waititi news. It does get me excited. The mystery of it does get me excited. Part of me does get pretty excited about the Patty Jenkins project too, because my favorite part of playing the Star Wars video games have always been the actual dogfights, being behind the ship and all that kind of stuff. And I always felt like, that's a part of Star Wars that really isn't highlighted enough. We get a lot of stuff with the Jedi, a lot of mythology with the Jedi. We get a lot of mythology with, Clone Wars and all that stuff, and nobody really goes into the pilots, right? So that to me gets me excited, just as a pure like old school movie fan. I could see it going back to like those old serials and all that kind of stuff. So that I'm really looking forward to. But you can't doubt Taika. Anything he touches is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, see, this is my thing. I obviously am excited for the Patty Jenkins project. I'm even more excited after I watched Wonder Woman 84. I haven't seen it yet, so I'm also tempered expectations as far as what that movie is going to be. Obviously, once I see it, if it's as awesome as if I've been hearing, I will probably even more excited for Rogue Squadrons. But Taika Waititi is that director that everyone kind of wants to work with as far as major studios. Obviously, he's also been known or attached to work on the Akira project that I think died. I think that's DOA, Dead in the Water, or Dead on Arrival. Either way, I just think it died because I don't think that Akira thing is happening anymore. But I know that Taika's been attached to so many projects because everyone sees his manner of success working with major budget movies because of I think it's mainly his relationship with actors. And this is something that a lot of people have talked about throughout the years when it comes to directing. And I've talked about it with you on our podcast, the Many Enough podcast, where we talk about directors. I've talked about how directors, their main mission, their main focus is on, especially on set, it's working with the actors. You let the DP handle the DP stuff and the camera guys handle the camera stuff, but the actors is one-on-one with the director. And I feel like Taika is the one who's really good at doing that. And Emma's coming in. So I'm super excited to get her thoughts on this. But that's my reason why I feel like that is why Taika is the one that should be focused on. What's up, Emma?
Hello.
I am so excited to have you on.
Yeah.
How was your crazy meeting and your crazy day?
It's just been a long day, long day.
No worries. We're just talking about the Star Wars announcement news. We're in the movie portion right now. So obviously we know about the Taika Waititi film that got confirmed with the 1917 screenwriter. Her name is Christy Wilson Cairns.
Yes.
And then we also got the announcement of the Patty Jenkins movie called Rogue Squadrons.
Yeah. So I didn't realize that Patty Jenkins' father had been a fighter pilot.
I didn't either. Yeah, she mentioned that cool video that she did.
Yeah.
And it's pretty exciting. I mean, obviously, I want to get your thoughts on both these projects, but first and foremost, the Patty Jenkins one. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I hope that Chris Pine is in it. I tell you what, I feel like I want.
I think he probably will be. I want
Chris Pine to be to her what like a Leonardo DiCaprio is to like a Scorsese. You know what I mean?
A JGL to Rian Johnson.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
I think he will be, just because it's like he's even in the TV show she does.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like in everything she does. I was talking to RB3 about my excitement for both of them. I'm obviously excited for both of them, but the one that gives me the most excitement slightly is probably the Taika one, mainly because of the mystery of it all, right? Because we don't know if it's an original.
Yeah, we still really don't know.
Yeah, what timeline it's set in, if it's original, if it's going to be based on maybe the High Republic novels is what I also said, like it's a possibility. So that all that stuff is kind of up in the air. And also because of the screenwriter, I was telling everyone in the chat right now that if you guys haven't seen the 1917 behind the scenes portions, when you see the behind the scenes, you see the screenwriting and how much that goes into it as far as planning the action scenes and planning the portions and the emotional beats and everything. Christy's a beast.
Yeah.
Like she knows what she's doing. I'm excited for that.
I don't want to derail too badly, but it's semi-related because it was Rian Johnson that tweeted it. But this was back when 1917 came out. So like spoilers if you haven't seen 1917. But Rian Johnson was like, yeah, I saw Benedict Cumberbatch at the SAG Awards, and he just sat in a bunker. That was all one continuous shot. He just sat in a bunker for 6 months. They paid him $20 million.
Yeah,
I remember. Such a funny tweet.
That was a funny tweet.
I think I didn't do it justice, but it was really, really funny.
Yeah, it's true. He did, and he's having a mustache too.
Yep.
hand in hand with Rogue Squadrons.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to ask. That's why I wanted to ask y'all. Were y'all surprised that there was no announcement of any Rian Johnson trilogy coming out of this? Because I remember that was a lot of speculation. And I was really looking forward to that. That was one of my most anticipated projects. But
yeah, I'm definitely still really looking forward to it. I mean, I think what we're seeing with all of these platforms, honestly, is it's not with the platforms. It is a shift from these parent companies to focusing on their streaming platforms. And I think that it was accelerated by COVID, but the fact of the matter is it was always going to go this way anyway. But then you also look at something like a Mandalorian, which is not expected to do the same kind of numbers or generate the same kind of revenue that a Star Wars film is going to generate. And I think that that has ultimately been to its benefit, especially because I feel like one of the things that showed us particularly well is embracing this kitschy 70s-ness to the original Star Wars. You know what I mean? Where it's like, yep, here's the baby Grogu. He's in a classroom and he's eating snacks. What are those snacks? They're literally blue macarons, but they're space food now, you know?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it really is. We're going to get to that too, because that's my full sabacc is the idea of this shift that's happening inside Disney and it now officially inside Star Wars.
Yeah.
But starting with these two films, I really do feel like a lot of the attention has been on Taika, mainly because he's so good at working within these not just small parameters, but big parameters.
Yeah.
Given a budget of like $200 million, he knows what to do. Because he knows the importance of what it takes to make a big budget movie, which is the heart of a film. That's what I think it is like he nails the heart of a film, and that's what makes him such a special filmmaker, whether it be what we do in The Shadows, Thor Ragnarok, or Jojo Rabbit.
For the Wilder People.
For the Wilder People. He knows, like, if I just focus on the emotion and on the heart, everything else will fall into place. I can let my DP and my action guys and my CGI guys coordinate a really cool fight scene as long as I focus on the characters.
Great storyteller. And I think Rian Johnson is a really great storyteller. And even though obviously like Patty Jenkins has shown that she can handle a large budget film, she also is very, very good at the relationships between her characters. To me, the thing that is most compelling about the film Wonder Woman is the relationship between Diana Prince and Steve Trevor. Like the two of them on camera together are absolute dynamite. And I think that she gets really good like relationships that come across on screen out of the actors that she works with.
Can I ask you guys, I don't know, have you seen Wonder Woman 84, Emma?
I have not seen it, no. The reviews have been largely pretty positive. I know one person that didn't like it very much. But by and large, a lot of what people have been saying is they're like, it's the follow-up to Wonder Woman that we need right now.
Yeah, I've seen all the positive reviews as well. I was just curious if you've seen it. I know RB3's seen it. I don't know if you're allowed to say anything, RB3. If you're not, you don't have to.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say anything either.
Okay,
but
cool.
Yeah.
Because I know you went to that screening, so I was like, all right, I don't want to get you in trouble. But either way, I'm probably going to be even more excited for Rogue Squadrons once I see Wonder Woman 84, if I'm being honest too.
Definitely.
Just because it's been so long since Wonder Woman. I really enjoyed Wonder Woman. I really did.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite DC movies, but at the same time, I'm like, man, it's been a minute since I've seen it. So I would love to see a new Patty Jenkins film, which is what I'm going to get in about 2 weeks, which is so exciting. But yeah, to me, those two movie projects are super exciting. I have thoughts on films versus TV, which we can get into later on.
Totally. And I mean, we can't discount the fact that a lot of the criticism is very, very valid that people have brought. It is a fine sort of edge of a sword to dance upon, this whole, bringing things to cinema versus having things released in theaters. On the one hand, if you are an actor or a filmmaker right now who is complaining about the fact that your movie's not going to be able to come out in the movie theater, yes, I understand it was intended to be released on the big screen, and I would like to see it on the big screen. But the other thing is that there is a level of tone deafness, though, I think that it feels like when you see, people like the Christopher Nolans, perhaps, of the world coming out and making these grandiose statements about cinema, where it's like, Yeah, okay, obviously, but also like there's a pandemic going on. Like you don't want to put people in a situation wherein they could be encouraged to put themselves in danger because people are not going to make good decisions. I'm sorry. Like they're just not.
Yeah, you and I are on the same page on this. We did an entire episode about it last week, Emma, on First Cut Live, where I said exactly what you said.
Yeah.
There's the two sides of it, obviously, because I'm not necessarily being like, yeah, F the filmmakers, they shouldn't matter. Like, of course they should matter, but at the same time, like, if they're given the choice, they're going to be like, yeah, I don't care if people die. I want my movie in the theater. And that's not the right move right now.
Yeah.
It just really isn't. It's just not the right move. So if right now you can't, and if this is an option that people have, then let's go for it. Let's try it. I really do feel like that's the way. And obviously that's what Disney Plus is aiming for with all these new Star Wars shows. Let's get into that.
Yeah. I know. I'm like, how do you even have time to make Star Wars movies with all these TV shows you're supposedly making?
Yeah, obviously I have thoughts on that too, as far as like how many shows we got.
Yeah.
But let's quickly run through it. So I'm going to say all the shows, and then I'm going to ask you to like kind of rank them as far as excitement go.
Yeah.
Obviously, the ones we know about, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Cassian Andor, The Bad Batch, those were the ones we knew about. And then we had the Lando one, which was a rumor, but now it's confirmed. Officially, we got Ahsoka, which is something that
which was also kind of a rumor.
About. Yep. And then we got a droid story, The Acolyte, Rangers of the New Republic, and then the Visions anime shorts. Which is just anime shorts.
Right.
All right, Emma.
Obviously, that's at the top of my list is Visions anime shorts. I'm literally, no, but like, I'm stoked because like, to me, that feels like Star Wars is weird. Let's get really weird, you know?
Yeah, I always, someone's going to say it in the chat, but Galaxy's Adventures, is that what it's called? The kids' little anime shorts that they do?
Oh my God, why am I blanking on it? They're so cute. I love them.
I love those. And every time I just watch it for fun, and I'm just like, Star Wars in like animation form or anime form is incredible.
It is.
It's so freaking cool. So I'm definitely excited for that. But besides that one, Emma, what's your ranking as far as like?
Okay, I'm ride or die for Obi-Wan. I've always been ride or die for Obi-Wan. I love that character. I was super duper in love with Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi when that movie came out when I was 13. And Ewan McGregor is like one of the first men I like truly ever like. I like couldn't even look at him on screen because I just thought he was so cute. And he has so much passion for that character. Deborah Chow, my God, she totally crushed the episodes of Mandalorian that she directed, and she was great director on Game of Thrones. Like, she's wonderfully talented. I think that's such a great team. And I'm so, Galaxies of Adventure. That's exactly right. Exactly right. Darth Mr. Meeseeks is the animated shorts we were talking about, which are fantastic. If you have not watched them, highly recommend. The animation style is beautiful. So yeah, ride or die for Obi-Wan. I hate to be the person that's like, I'm excited to see more of the thing I already knew about, but y'all, as soon as they confirmed Donald Glover for Lando, like game over. I like Solo more than most people do. I love Solo, which I didn't realize. Because I was like, oh, that was fun. Winked at the camera a few too many times, but I thought it was a fun adventure. And like, just give me all because to me, the reason that, and I still feel this way about Solo, the reason that I felt like I didn't need the movie Solo, and again, still don't feel like I needed it, but I enjoyed it, is that Han Solo does all of his growing as a character throughout the original trilogy. We know before that he was kind of a ne'er-do-well smuggler guy, like just going on adventures. And that's exactly what Solo was. Lando, on the other hand, by the time we meet him in Empire Strikes Back, he's got a past. Like a lot of shit has gone on with Lando. So I think that there's a lot of story to explore there. So I'm really excited about that. I guess for me, I mean, with Obi-Wan sort of being an exception, because I think a lot of that is about like his struggle with sort of his relationship with the Jedi and what does he do after feeling like he has failed Anakin as his apprentice and failed the whole Jedi Order. Like, there's going to be a lot of baggage to unpack in the Obi-Wan series. And I'm very curious to see how the Hayden Christensen of it all,
Yep. I mean, obviously, there's so much there. To go back on your Lando thing, I don't think Donald Glover's been confirmed.
He has not been confirmed. No.
100%
That was me saying as soon as they do, then I'm all in on this. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really interesting, right? Because a lot of people have done the whole, like, what if they bring back both Billy D. Williams and Donald Glover? As
okay, so I just now have a pitch for how this show goes. It's Lando. It's Billy D. Williams. It's very, very episodic. It's very episodic. It is not like... even more so than Mandalorian, which is already pretty episodic.
It's pretty episodic,
and it's Billy D. Williams as like swagged out 70s Lando, older man, lived his life, and he's like in a cantina, like telling stories of his youth. So he bookends every episode. I think
that's exactly what it is. I think I've heard that pitch because it's the correct pitch.
It's the correct pitch, yeah.
Where you could even have like people interrupt the story like halway through.
1,000%. They're like, that can't be how it was.
Yeah. It's the Calrissian Chronicles. I mean, there's already a pathway towards that. So I think it works absolutely. Obviously, there's a lot here. There's just so much there. But I kind of want to get into, let's start with the Mando timeline ones.
Okay.
So let's start with the one that we kind of predicted as far as Ahsoka.
Right.
Where we all were like, well, that kind of seemed like a backdoor pilot kind of thing.
Here's my feeling about the Ahsoka thing. And I'm underwhelmed by Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka. However, I am like fully willing to give her a chance now that she's going to have a lot more material to work with. You know what I mean? My only thing is I'm fine with the Ahsoka series as long as storylines that were set up in The Mandalorian are not resolved in the Ahsoka series.
Yeah.
Like if Thrawn never shows up, in The Mandalorian and just shows up in Ahsoka, that's like, don't love that.
Yeah, I'm curious how they're going to do it because obviously you probably know more examples than I do, Emma, as far as shows that were both in the same universe that were going on at the same time. I know there was a slight Buffy Angel.
Yeah, Buffy Angel had a little
but that was like the last season of Buffy and the last season of Angel. Or like the third season of Angel. It was it was right when Buffy was basically done.
I mean, listen, like you can have stuff exist in the same world and intersect every once in a while in a way that's fun, that does not require the viewer to watch all of either show, quite honestly.
Correct.
The greatest example that comes to mind for me, quite honestly, is Hercules: The Legendary Journey and Xena Warrior Princess.
You've mentioned this. That's right. Yeah, I've never seen it, so I don't know.
They took place in the same world. The same people played the gods in both series. Bruce Campbell was a crossover character as Autolycus, King of Thieves. He used to show up on both. So I feel like if we can establish something like that, I'm with it.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, obviously the perfect like modern day example, or at least for like people who are like super nerdy, is the CW stuff that they do as far as crossovers and all that. I haven't kept up with it honestly in like 5 years. But it's tricky, right? Because you want to make it a show that can stand on its own, that if I love Ahsoka and I only watch Ahsoka, this is just an audience member.
Totally.
I don't necessarily have to watch The Mandalorian or vice versa. But the Ahsoka series feels, I don't know, bear with me here, Emma. It feels like this is a perfect idea, but at the same time, it feels very limiting as far as like what versus like a Mandalorian, like side quests, side adventures. Like, what exactly
I guess that's my thing is like, I'm not fully sure what the Ahsoka series is going to be about. I feel like that character is steeped in so much Star Wars history that I'm like, how do you make a series about her that isn't like so dependent on you knowing everything about this character and her journey? But again, it's like like people are talking in chat a little bit about the like Arrowverse stuff on the CW, and I don't want Star Wars to become that. Like again, I really think Xena and Hercules is the perfect model.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because I feel like, okay, if I'm in a pitch room, right, for Disney, and I say, imagine the Mandalorian, but with lightsabers, that's not enough for me, at least personally, as far as like Ahsoka just goes from town to town, saving random people from bounty hunters or just like mean people, or a town is under the corruption of this evil ruler. Like, I don't know if that's like Mandalorian with lightsabers is kind of the pitch as far as Ahsoka, which sounds cool. But to me, it's just like, is that enough? I don't know if that's enough.
I also just clearly, you know, I as far as Star Wars go, listen, I like Jedi stories. I do, but I tend to gravitate more towards your Rogue Ones, you know, your stories about the other people, not the Jedi. And I think that is a lot of what's so appealing about The Mandalorian is like, the Jedi are obviously linked into it, but the heart of it is this just very personal story about a relationship between a man and his little green baby.
Yeah. I think there's plenty of Star Wars stories like that are actually really interesting to me. But the Ahsoka one is there's a question mark for me, at least for now. However, speaking of question marks, Rangers of the New Republic, the other tie-in show. Can I be the first to say this, Emma, where last week when RB3 and I were talking about these shows, RB3 was like, well, at least there's not a Gina Carano show. And I was like, well, there might be. There sure might be.
Perfect sound effect.
RB3, this sounds like a Gina Carano spinoff show. At least that's what I immediately thought. I hope not. But what do you think of Rangers of the New Republic as far as the log line goes?
I feel like so many of these shows, I think this is part of the problem. And it's not a problem per se, but some of the why we get so stoked on things like Obi-Wan or Lando is because we've spent a lot of time with those characters. We've known them for
and we like them
years, and we like them, and we want to know more about those characters. It's especially nowadays, it's really hard to introduce new characters or a new like IP. Obviously, this isn't introducing a new IP. This is introducing new characters within an existing IP. I just feel like I don't know enough about this yet to feel like super stoked on it.
Yeah. Well, can I echo something that we talked about a couple episodes ago, Emma, is that scene where I always forget his name. I'm hoping you can help me. The guy who I said that he's an X-Wing pilot who can actually act.
Paul Soon-Hyun Lee.
When
the
that
dad
scene
from Kim's Convenience.
Yeah, where he gives Cara Dune the medallion, it looked kind of like a winking at the camera like, hey, get ready for our show. And that's kind of what this is. It's kind of like maybe it's his character, which I forget his character's name. I'm sorry.
He does have a name, doesn't he?
He does. It's his character and Cara Dune kind of doing like New Republic X-Wing adventures, or maybe just like New Ranger adventures. I'm not sure. It could be, I could see him being the lead of the show.
Yeah.
But I could also see her being the lead of the show if I'm being honest.
His name is Captain Carson Teva. I don't know. It's spelled the exact same way as Teva, like sandals.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
Listen, I love him. I think he's great on The Mandalorian. And I am super duper down to see him get more to do and have a series circle around him. And if it is if it's a fun kind of ragtag space adventure of him and a scrappy crew of misfits of different, colors and alien species, etc. Like I'm with it. I'm down. Definitely don't need more Cara Dune. Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's always something new, so I'm hoping it's not that. But again, I could see that being a focus on either his character or her character kind of thing, or at least in that avenue, as far as like what's the New Republic up to during the time of the Mandalorian, which they've kind of hinted at during the Mandalorian shows.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of very interesting potential here.
Yeah, for sure. So those are the two shows that are running alongside The Mandalorian. We briefly touched on Obi-Wan. I'm not sure how many episodes. I don't think they officially announced. I think they said maybe, I think earlier they said 6.
Yeah, I feel like I heard 6 somewhere as well.
But we have to talk about the at least a little bit more, the Hayden Christensen in the room. Can I just say, and I know I'm not the only one, I think everyone like said, hey, this is cool. Like, it's just cool.
It's really cool. It really is. I mean, you know, as much as I would love to just see like Matt Lanter get to do it, who was in an episode of The Mandalorian. Actually, the other one of the ones Rick Famuyiwa directed last season, the one where we met Mayfield.
Yep.
But I mean, I like all of these people who got a lot of, I think, unnecessary hatred, or at least vitriol, in their original performances, are getting a chance to be like, people were shitty to you. Like, come back. It's Star Wars. It's not that serious. Like,
let's try again. Let's have fun. Let's you know, hit that nostalgia button.
Totally.
That still works. I really do feel the same way, where I feel like, let's give the guy another shot. Like, this guy's clearly a good actor.
Yeah,
he had a bad break. He didn't have a lot to work with as far as dialogue goes.
No, he didn't.
Let's give him a shot. Let's have him back. The fans will love it. It'll probably be some really cool scenes because we recognize the history, not just from the movies, but like you said, from the Clone Wars. So I feel like they could even reference Clone Wars stuff.
Of course, yeah.
And it'll be kind of, I don't know. I think it's exciting. I also heard a fan from Star Wars Explained say, like, what if they do like a Clone Wars flashback, like live action with the armor and everything? I was like, what?
I would like to see that. I would like to see that. I almost feel like the incorporating Hayden Christensen as Anakin, like, and I mean, technically he's Darth Vader, but I feel like it would be really interesting. I'm curious to see how he's going to be incorporated, basically. Like,
me too.
Is Obi-Wan like living some like deep, like psychological breakdown sort of fantasy where things are okay with Anakin? Or is he like being haunted by a metaphorical ghost of Anakin? Like, I'm with it.
I love it. All those things are kind of what I'm imagining.
Yeah.
So I think they could work. And I think a flashback would be super exciting. I imagined like Hayden Christensen with the Anakin armor, Ewan McGregor with like the Obi-Wan animated armor. I think it'd be amazing. So that, to me, I'm with you, Emma. That if I had to rank it, like if I had to, because I don't like ranking, I would put Obi-Wan at the top.
Obi-Wan's on the top of my list.
Just because of Ewan McGregor. I've always said like this guy like is the best part of the prequels. Clearly an incredible actor.
He is just so excited to be doing this project.
Yes. Yeah. And he loves it. He loves the prequels, which I think is refreshing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because a lot of actors kind of badmouth their old school projects, but I feel like he's always defended it.
Honestly, I feel like prior to, though I think Donald Glover had some of this swagger to him as well, but like prior to Giancarlo Esposito, who's clearly having the most fun in Star Wars that anyone's ever had being in Star Wars, I would say Ewan McGregor is like up there on that list also.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. I'm super excited for that show. But if I had to, besides that, like I really have to put that to the side because it's just, I've been excited for that
since so
like
much emotion.
2007.
Yeah.
Like I've been talking about an Obi-Wan show since I was like a teenager, which is forever ago. So to me, besides that, because I feel like that's just ridiculous.
That's a given.
Exciting,
yeah.
The one to me that I saw a couple people be like, hey, what's your most excited one? I was like, I have to be honest. It's the Cassian Andor show. Like that's
nice.
the one.
Yeah.
I love Diego Luna, obviously, as just an actor. And also having that, you know, Mexican pride in me is still there. But besides that, the character of Cassian Andor to me is just the character that I was like, man, I think this guy stole this movie. Like he really is.
He's great.
A great character.
Yeah, Diego Luna. Number one, Diego Luna is a great actor, and two, Cassian Andor is definitely a fantastic character. I am really looking forward to that. I think what it is like, I think some of it is, well, you know how things are going to end for Cassian.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, but
I think it works.
I think it's all right. It was a little bit different with like, I guess with Cassian, what I want to see is what I think is where I think the prequels kind of failed. What I think their biggest failing is that the prequels were prequels. Like they were not movies that happened that were a story that led up to the original trilogy. There was a certain amount of them assuming you'd seen the original trilogy. I would like to see a Cassian that doesn't like feel tied down by Rogue One hanging over its head. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a show that stands alone by itself. I think it will. I really like that sizzle reel that they showed. It really seemed like this is going to be a show with all new characters, actors that are cool. Like I really like their cast that they brought in. I think I wrote down a few of their names. I didn't. But either way, Tony Gilroy writing the scripts, a screenwriter that I really enjoy. To me, this is just the most like upside, should be really exciting. It doesn't have to do with lightsabers or Jedi.
Yeah.
Just this guy, espionage missions, but it's still big picture enough to where it is like the rebellion and the empire, where it is major stakes. It's not low stakes where it's like saving a small village or something, which is cool. But I feel like this is higher stakes than the Mandalorian, but it's not higher as like Ahsoka as far as like a Jedi going on adventures or like the former Jedi going on adventures. So that's why to me it's like the perfect balance between the two that I'm so excited for.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Cassian as well. I feel like it's one that I tend to keep forgetting because we've known about it for so long.
Yeah, it's been announced since like I think since they announced
forever ago. Yeah.
Since they
it was
said
like
the Mandalorian is coming
after,
out.
like right after the Mandalorian, it was announced.
It's been in the makings for a minute, and they're shooting it in London right now, so that's pretty exciting. It's going to be 12 episodes long, so that's really cool. As far as making it like a full season, I think that's all we'll get. I don't think we'll get it too, but who knows? The other one I have here is we talked about Lando. What do you think about a droid story? Obviously, it sounds a lot more children's based or a lot more like focused on children.
Sure. Listen, there are people who have some feelings about the way droids are portrayed in animated series that are for children. But I'm here to tell you, it's an opinion on a piece of media, so it can't be wrong. But if you're a Chopper hater, you're wrong.
I love Chopper. To be fair, it takes you like a good like 5 or 6 episodes to get into Chopper. I'm the biggest Chopper fan there is, but even I was like, man, what's up with this guy? But I love Chopper. Chopper's awesome. This
with
seems
this
to me
droid
like,
series, I'm like, go balls to the wall. Just go bananas. You know what I don't.
It
don't
sounds
keep
weird.
it grounded. Just go. If it sounds weird, just make it weird.
Yeah, it sounds really weird. They're like different droids go on adventures, and I'm like, oh, all right. This is gonna be like some like like old school Tom and Jerry stuff.
I mean, unless this is like secretly about a robot uprising, which I'm for also. So
yeah, there you go. That seems like fun, but it seems definitely more directed towards
a younger audience,
kids audience. Yeah. The final one that I have here, besides a Bad Batch, we can finish up with a Bad Batch.
Right.
Is the Acolyte. This is the one with I'm gonna butcher her name, Leslie Headland, who is the writer of Dollhouse, Russian Dollhouse.
Oh,
I've never seen the show.
Of Russian Doll or of Dollhouse?
Russian Doll.
Yeah.
It's the Netflix show.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I haven't seen it, but apparently it's really good. And
it is. It's really good.
But that's the show that is based on the High Republic. Apparently, it's the final era of the High Republic, which is obviously the new books that we're going to get in a couple of weeks. I think they're coming out in a couple of weeks. So this is a show that is based on the final chapter of the High Republic or something like that. Let me read the official log line. But either way, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I always love seeing women taking the reins on Star Wars. So I don't really know what to expect out of High Republic stuff just yet.
Can I just say, we did a little tease of it a way long ago, Emma, or at least it feels like it's forever ago. But the more research I did about it, the more I read up about it, the more I was like, man, this sounds really cool. And can I just say that everyone that I've seen as far as Star Wars Twitter or Star Wars Explained saying that they've read the books, three books, and they're awesome. They're so freaking cool.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of really positive response to the first 3 books.
Like incredibly positive response. To me, that's so exciting because to me, this is the most potential there is as far as maybe possibly saying, hey, this is our new Skywalker saga. We're going to make like 6 films of this or 5 films of this, whatever it is. Because it's so cool and it's so different and it's a different timeline, which allows for opportunities of different perspectives, I think.
Yeah.
So that's why to me, The Acolyte is so exciting. But at the same time, I'm like, man, I kind of want to see this in a film. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Before we get to The Mandalorian, just a quick little thought on The Bad Batch. Obviously, we kind of know what to expect just because we've seen
we kind of know what to expect.
We've seen the Bad Batch episode in the last season of Clone Wars. I believe it was episode.
It was the first few of them.
3 or 4?
Yeah, the first 3 or 4 episodes was about the Bad Batch.
Mm-hmm. What do you think of this show?
It seems like an easy, natural progression. You know, like as far as them making shows, to me, I go, yeah, okay, this one's not hard. Like, which isn't to say that like there's not a value to it. There certainly is, especially because like the clone characters haven't gotten a whole lot of like love and recognition as far as live action stuff goes. And I think this is live action, isn't it?
No.
Oh, it is. It's animated. Oh, okay. So it's a spinoff of Clone Wars.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah, it's basically following that group through their own adventures kind of thing, which it makes sense. I mean, we saw their characters. It works. It's a very easy formula as far as this special squad doing special missions kind of thing. So I think that works out really well. Let's move on to this episode of The Mandalorian called The Believer, which is going to be our green Psylop of the day. RB3, if you have the green Psylop, let's do it.
If you'd only had this little green Psylop.
So obviously this is an episode called The Believer. It's the penultimate episode right before the finale. Either way, Emma, I want to hear your overall thoughts on this episode. I have mine, which are very strong.
Okay.
But what are your thoughts? We brought back Bill Burr.
Okay, listen, I'm gonna say it right now. How do we get an Emmy Award nomination for Bill Burr?
Yeah,
he was unbelievable in this episode. He stole the whole episode.
I can't lie, Emma, and I've said this every week, but I'm being real this time. This is my favorite episode of probably the series.
This episode was amazing.
So good.
And it's so fun because like I made a joke about Bill Burr's Boston accent on Twitter, and I stand by that joke. He was even more masshole than he was before, but that does not change the fact that his performance in this episode was absolutely stellar.
It was such a cool episode, such character development.
Yes.
So many different perspectives and thoughts being tossed out in front of you. Changing of POVs was really cool as far as like seeing Mayfield's POV and then seeing the Empire's POV as far as them saving the day. And then eventually following back on that as far as getting the perspective.
It was so well done, as you say, kind of like the swapping around of, oh, right now we're reliant on the Empire to come save us because these raiders are coming after us and we've got all this highly explosive material and they've got thermal detonators, to them blowing up the base at the end.
Yeah, which was insane.
Yeah, it was such an incredible like switch. And I just they did, and they referenced the storyline from Battlefront 2, I believe, is where that storyline came from.
Cinder, yep.
Yeah, Operation Cinder. And
I love Battlefront 2.
And it was cool. It was really, really rewarding. It was directed so well. It was just structured really beautifully. And Rick Famuyiwa, man.
Right?
I loved both episodes he directed last season. I know there were people that were not a big fan of, more specifically, the one that was like the breakout one that to me felt like a reverse slasher film where we were seeing everything from the perspective of the slasher being the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. This episode was great. And the way that they wrapped things up with Mayfield at the end with Cara Dune basically being like, man, it's a shame that Mayfield didn't survive. Like, it was so good.
Yeah. See, this is my thing. Like, I don't know why, as soon as I started the episode, obviously it starts out with him in the shipyard or the droid factory, whatever it is that he's working off his payment as far as his prison time. But after that, like as soon as we got to that other planet and as soon as we were working with, I believe they were called Juggernauts. I forget the name of the vehicles they were driving. But as soon as we got to that whole like, hey, we're going to have to infiltrate.
They had some dope vehicles.
They were so cool. But that's my thing. Like my thing is like, as soon as I was watching it, it felt different. It felt like, man, this scope is so like it doesn't feel like we're just in this little shack in Navarro. It feels like we're like driving down this like 8-mile plane inside this crazy planet where pirates are trying to kill us. Like the scope of it felt so big. And I was sold based off just that. But then when we got inside the building and we got that's emotional
where it really shined. And I was totally with you. That whole driving sequence on the Juggernauts, cool. I was like, damn, this is some sick Star Wars fighting. Yeah. And then when they got to the crux of Mayfield and his involvement with the Empire previously and how that all kind of panned out, I mean, whoo.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those things where Mayfield's character was set up in this episode at the beginning to push Mando slightly as far as his ideals and as far as questioning him.
Yes.
Which we see that eventually come to fruition when we get the, I think now, iconic taking off the helmet when your head is not beat up. Just for the clearance code, which is what he did. What were your thoughts when he did that and when he had to do that?
I loved it. It was so important to the growth of that character to be like, and the fact that again, it was Mayfield, who is someone who's he's supposed to have previously worked with, like they have a previous relationship. Just like really the fact that he was willing to give up on something that this ideal that he has so believed to be true, because now he believes in something greater, which is his relationship to this child. And also, having people around like your Bo-Katan's and her crew of them all just taking their helmets off and being like, yo, whatever, it's fine. And then now he's back with Boba Fett, obviously, who he has said, hey, you know what? You totally deserve this armor. And like Boba Fett's taking his helmet off all the time.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Because it has a lot to do with the combination of those two, Bo-Katan and Boba Fett, who are both what he considers like, okay, these guys are Mandalorian. Yeah. And they're taking off their helmet. And they still have morals and honor and all that jazz. I can do the same too, especially when it comes to my son, which I love that they actually, I think at one point said like they have his son or they have his kid. I think Cara Dune said that in
yes, she did. And then Bill Burr's like the little green guy.
Yeah, exactly. But to me, the whole taking off the helmet, the whole infiltrating inside the base, the whole scene where they're telling the story of Operation Cinder and Bill Burr is starting to like rage up and break down. That's the scene that a lot of people are talking about. What were your thoughts on that?
Oh, when he's talking to Valen Haas or whatever the name of the
Valen Haas.
Well, listen, it's Star Wars, so you can pronounce it 25 different ways and it's fine. Also, 25 different accents were present in this episode. And I was with it.
Love it.
I love it. Who cares? It's Star Wars. It's space. I mean, obviously I give a ton of credit to Bill Burr's performance. Because I mean, as the villain, you kind of have an easier job in some ways. Like it's really fun to play villains because most of us are not total pieces of shit in real life. It turns out most people are generally kind of okay. But it was essential to have this villain who'd like totally bought into just be like, he was just such an asshole.
Yeah.
But like in a really grounded way. And like, I know people like, I mean, not personally, but like I know of people in real life that are like this. They just have no remorse whatsoever. Like, when he said for the greater good, there's like a level of personalization for me with that also. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, right, Emma? Because I felt like such conflicted feelings throughout this entire episode.
You're supposed to.
Yeah. As far as like what it means to be in the Empire, because we get the whole, like, when Bill Burr starts out this episode, when Mayfield starts out, I forget who it is. I don't know if it's Mando or Cara Dune who calls him Emp. They're like, "Oh, Emp, come here, Emp." Yeah. You know, Empire. I mean, you're Empire, dude. How can you? He's like, "Bro, that's a long time ago." And he's like, "Dude, you still know the clearance codes? Come on, help me out." And they kind of treat him like, "Hey, you suck. You were part of the Empire." And then when you see his side of the story, you're like, "Oh."
Well, because what they're exploring there is, you know, something that they attempted to explore a little bit, but I actually think was done better in like this one scene in The Mandalorian than it was in all of the sequel trilogy, which is this idea of people just doing their jobs.
Yeah. But it's also the time of, it is the whole, I'm just doing my job, but it's also the whole, like, you do have a choice.
Yeah.
Which is what the sequel trilogy gets into as well. But it's the idea of like at the end of the episode, he still shot up the whole place and still blew up all those people.
Still have a choice.
He still like killed a lot of people just doing their jobs. So at the same time, I was like, you just, you know, showed me a different side of the Empire, but then you just blew the hell up out of them. And they could have been just people doing their jobs too, which is kind of funny because
a lot of them were.
Yeah, because we saw the shore trooper who was just like with the tray of food, and he's like, "I'm just here for food, bro. I just came in here for coffee," and they just shoot him up. And I was like, "That's funny," but it's also like darkly humorous.
Yep, it's total dark humor.
Yeah, as far as him just like, "Hey, I'm just here for coffee," and he happens to be shot up, but that's what happens in this episode. I think that's why I enjoyed it so much, is because we saw those two sides, and we saw eventually they still blew up the base and they still went out like they went out. We still saw Boba and the Slave One. We got the seismic charge, Emma. I don't know what your reaction was to that.
Oh, yeah, it was dope. I mean, the Slave One's a dope ship.
Yeah, I lost it. Obviously, that's one of my favorite moments of Attack of the Clones, and I've said it a million times. It's my favorite ship, the Slave One. But yeah, this is definitely my favorite episode of probably the season and the series, if I'm being honest. I just thought there was so much there as far as classic, cool, big Star Wars action, emotional moments, and then the taking off the mask. That's a big moment too. So I really love this episode. Finale is coming up, Emma. We got one more week of The Mandalorian and we're done. What'd you think of the final "I'm coming for you" speech? It
was so stupid and over the top. I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of felt like this is crazy because it came out of nowhere. But then someone reminded me that that's what Moff Gideon said in season 1.
Yeah.
Which I forgot. I just blanked out on it. But I'm so excited for the finale. I can't wait. And I just don't know what to expect. But at the same time.
I don't fully know what to expect either. And that's exciting.
Let's finish up with our full Sabacc, RB3, if you have the full Sabacc. So my full Sabacc, Emma, and if we can just do this quickly, just so we can finish up. What do you think of where Star Wars is going as far as TV and movies? Because my thought process, especially after the investor meeting, part of me, my first reaction was kind of nervousness, because I was like, that's slightly overwhelming as far as putting so much on
TV?
Disney Plus, on series, and kind of focusing on that versus the movie way to do it, which has been done before. I'm kind of curious to hear your thoughts.
I mean, like I said earlier when I first showed up on the episode, there's definitely been a shift as far as strategy goes when it comes to releasing media, which is exacerbated by COVID, but I think was ultimately going that way, which is that the focus is going to be on streaming. It's going to be on television. They have this platform. It is a lot cheaper for them to produce TV series than it is to produce films, even though obviously these are big budget TV series. You know, watch, if you've not watched the like making of Mandalorian series that's on Disney Plus.
Gallery, yeah.
Gallery, exactly. I highly, highly recommend it. Particularly the episode where they talk about how they do the sets.
Yes.
Because it's absolutely brilliant. You know, they use Unreal Engine to basically create the environments rather than having people film in front of a green screen. And it's fascinating and it's a lot cheaper than filming on location. Like I have so many times watching The Mandalorian where I go, oh my God, they filmed this in Encino. You know what I mean? Or in El Segundo, you know, like that's the thing is like, it's just, if you can,
it's cheaper.
Keep it local and keep it on a TV level. And also, you know, that kind of forces them to go back to a lot of what they did use when making the original trilogy of like getting back into scale model miniatures and puppets and all that kind of stuff, which is not a bad thing. It's strange, but it's like these movies set up this foundation for a whole massive galaxy to play around in, and it just makes more sense to play around with it in TV.
Yeah, it really does, and I get it as far as an investor point of view, and as far as a money point of view. I talked a lot about this on First Cut as far as the idea of everyone is going to streaming. Obviously, we got the Warner Brothers announcement as far as HBO Max, but a lot of it does have to do with the whole platform as far as this is my platform. As long as I can keep people on it, I'm making money, which is true. But at the same time, I feel like there might be limitations to that. And this is my perspective 100%. 100%. Sure. This isn't necessarily the correct one or anything like that. But I feel like when it comes to films, there's something about 2 to 2.5 hour serialized stories that are more efficient to me than like Arrowverse. No offense to Mr. Arrowverse.
No.
Like, but that's what I thought. I was like, oh no, are we going full CW? Because I don't want that. Please.
I don't want it to go full CW. I think a really great example of something that for me was really fun and resonated. I mean, it was basically not an anime, but it was a shonen anime for women in the form of The Queen's Gambit on Netflix. Which The Queen's Gambit.
Oh no, I thought you said the anime.
Oh no. I was making a joke that it's a show. Okay, it's a shonen anime for girls.
Got it.
But that's exactly what Queen's Gambit is. But it's just not an anime. But the thing about it is like that is a limited series. Obi-Wan is a limited series. Like I definitely don't hate a bunch of limited series taking place within the galaxy.
Yes.
That is how you continue to preserve the integrity of having the limited time of the medium of filmmaking while still having the space to explore within television. I don't,
spot on.
I obviously like The Mandalorian we know is more and more seasons, but we don't know how many seasons of Mandalorian is going to be. And even still, we're talking 8 episode seasons. We're not talking 24, 26 episode seasons where there's a lot.
True.
There's a lot of fluff.
Yeah. Yes, there is. Yeah, that's spot on. And that's what I told RB3. I want to hear his thoughts too, is the idea of like, I like miniseries. I like 4 episodes, 6 episodes. It's when we start to get into like the whole like 10 episodes, 4 seasons. And I'm just like, God, like, can we just limit this a little bit more? I don't know. I want to hear your thoughts, RB3.
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way. I always kind of have a natural preference towards movies as well. But I do like limited series, like I mentioned, The Undoing on HBO.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. If they do something like that, like again, like Obi-Wan, if it's just one season, that's just perfect for me. I don't need nothing else. Get me in and get me out. If there's something, if they have more ideas kind of like that, just kind of a singular story, I'm kind of down for that too. Or if they have something that's compelling that could go for a long time too, I could see, something going on, for I could see Mandalorian going on for a long time because it could go from a lot of places and follow a lot of different stories. But
totally.
I don't want there to only be Star Wars series, because I think there is value to still having movies and still having, things. And I personally think, as much as we have evolved towards TV and streaming and all that, I still think there's a certain level of prestige when it comes to like the movies. And, I still think there's still way more people who saw, and I think personally, maybe I'm wrong, but I think there's more people who probably saw, Rise of Skywalker or Last Jedi than who are currently watching The Mandalorian. But that's just
I think you're right. I would be curious to see those numbers though, because it's even like, The Mandalorian, you take something like Netflix's most successful series, which is Stranger Things, and you stack it up to like a Mandalorian. I'm fairly confident in saying that like Mandalorian's numbers are actually better.
Really?
Yeah, I believe so.
Wow, I don't know. Stranger Things kicks ass.
Oh, at least with subsequent seasons of Stranger Things. The first season, no, that was like lightning in a bottle. But they,
Interesting. Yeah, but then again, we will never know, right? It's
because they don't release those numbers. Yeah,
they don't release it. They don't know how to they don't tell us how they count views. Like, what is a view? Like,
correct.
There's just so much there that's why to me, I don't. It's hard for me to explain this because I can write a novel about how streaming is good, yes, but at the same time, streaming is bad because you don't see like how do they measure success? Are they just like making things to like keep you there? And to me, I just love the experience of this is a story we're telling, and this is one story about one person. And I feel like if we just focus on you get a show, everyone's a show, it's all connected, and it's just becoming a little too much. And I feel like it might seem big, but it's limiting as far as the scope.
It feels kind of cluttered.
Yeah. So that's my thing too. And by the way, when you said Queen's Gambit anime, I was like, isn't there?
No. Somebody posted a meme in my Discord that was like, the Queen's Gambit is the first shonen anime series for girls. And I was like, it is though.
Yeah. Well, I thought of that one strange anime I saw like a couple years ago that people love. Was it like Kakegurui? Yes.
The gambling one?
Yes. Yeah. I was like, that's Queen's Gambit.
Yeah.
It kind of is. But on that note, RB3, do we have any questions, Streamlabs, anything like that?
We do have questions in Streamlabs, and I texted you this, Ace, but you got to say it sooner, man. Remember to hit that button, people. Hit the like button.
You did?
Yeah, hit the like button. The like button's very important. Help us bump in the algorithms. Helps more people get to watch us live, and the more people watching us live, the better. And also, we do have some Streamlabs. And again, people, this is the Q&A segment of the show at the very end of the show. The text to speech thing is on. So if you donate over $10, your message will be read out loud by a British voice. And of course, our donation so far today came from our great friend, Bradley, Burnett. There we go. My bad. And here's his question.
We got there.
There we go.
Bradley Burnett donated $25. Keeping in mind the history of similar past project announcements when looking at this slate of the show or movie that you are most excited for, which of your top 3 favorites would you cut to get your most favorite?
Ooh, you're going to have to read that again, man.
Yeah, the
last part.
Let me see. He said if the show of the shows and or the movies you're excited for most, which of your top 3 favorites would you cut to get to your most favorite?
Which shows would I like get rid of?
Which would I get rid of?
Would I get rid of my favorites, or is that what he's saying? Like get
If
rid
you
of
had to get rid of 3 shows to get to your
Right, to get to the favorite one.
Oh, wow.
God, I
This
need
is
like
mean.
I need like the list of shows again. You know what I mean?
So we have the Acolyte, we have the
Yeah.
Bad Batch, we have Ahsoka, Rangers of the New Republic, Visions, Lando, A Droid Story, Cassian Andor, Obi-Wan, and that's it.
All right. Droid story to me seems like it's going to be silly.
Yeah, that's the
which is
first
not a
one I
bad thing.
thought of.
I'm for it, but it's like if we got to just like trim some fat, Droid Story.
Yeah.
I would. So this is any 3 we're allowed to cut, right?
I think so.
Okay. I would cut Rangers of the New Republic because we're already exploring that time period via Mandalorian, and I don't fully know what it's going to be about.
Yep.
And also, I would cut. I think I would probably cut Bad Batch because to me that feels like it's just we're making more of a thing that already exists.
Yeah, it's funny, Emma, because I thought mine were going to be different than yours, but I think mine are exactly the same. I would probably, my first one, I thought Droid Story. Second, I thought Bad Batch. My third would be Hard, but I would probably go Rangers of the New Republic just because I don't know what it's about and because of the Gina Carano of it.
Yeah, right.
Which is
I
like
think we
even
did it
worse.
wrong. I think we did it wrong, but I'm sticking with what we're doing.
Yeah, you're
Ace.
picking the least favorite. It's supposed to be out of your. It's like your top 4, right? You got top 4, and then
okay,
right. So it's like for me,
3.
my top 4 would be like Obi-Wan, Cassian Andor, Lando, and for the sake of argument, we'll say like the Acolyte.
Okay.
So you're cutting your top 3.
So I have to pick 3 of those to go, or
yes, three of your top 4 to go for your favorite, like for your number 1.
well, I'm cutting all the ones that aren't Obi-Wan. Like, I'm sorry. Like,
that's exactly what I would say too.
I know.
Well, if we would say our top, you said yours, I would probably go Obi-Wan, Cassian, Acolyte, and then if I had to go another one, I'd probably go probably Visions.
Okay.
Orlando.
Sure.
One of the 2. Yeah. Any others, RB3?
We did have one that came in from Jordan McTiernan. I think that Obi-Wan will ultimately fake his own death to stop the search for him and to protect Luke. Or we can see Anakin unable to finish his former master, leaving Obi-Wan to die without realizing he's still alive.
Oh, that there's like actually going to be
saying.
an earlier encounter between Vader and Obi-Wan than when they encounter one another in A New Hope. Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't think that's outside the realm of possibility at all.
Yeah, I could see that too. Obviously, there's so much there. They're going to have to find a way to make a story that makes sense and that fits with A New Hope, though. That's tough to do.
Desmond donated $1.
Oh, great.
How would you feel about a multiple seasons show showing Luke Hanley a Ben Solo between episodes 6 and 7? Bring in Sebastian Stan Alden Aaron Riek, get someone good to play Leia. There's so much there. I would love to...
Oh, sorry, I cut him off.
Oh.
What was the last part?
Let me see. Let me refresh. I know you could donate $1 and get in here. Jesus Christ. Well,
Dang.
Between episode 6 and 7? Is that what you said?
Yeah. So it's like
Yeah, it
between
says,
Return of the Jedi.
Oh, it's like Ben
and
Solo's
before.
training. I see.
Yeah.
yeah.
I've heard about a lot of people asking about a Ben Solo series. What do you think of that, Emma?
I mean, I don't hate it. I like the stuff that's like not about the Skywalker family.
True. I don't hate it either. But at the same time, I feel like we got so much of it in Last Jedi that I feel like it just works.
Yeah.
I also noticed that a lot of people are dying to see Luke again. It's so funny to me. I mean, it makes sense. I get why they want to, but at the same time, it's like, Luke, Sebastian Stan, it's back, it's done. And I'm just like, cool, man, maybe. I mean, we don't have to.
Yeah.
It's
I
an
just feel
option.
like they're like, I know this is super weird, but it's like, okay. With the Cassian Andor series, the Obi-Wan series, and this Lando series, it is a unique scenario wherein Ewan McGregor is about the right age to play an Obi-Wan at this time, or they can kind of tailor it to his age and where Obi-Wan is in his life. Diego Luna looks exactly the same, 5 years down the road as he did when he was making Rogue One. Because once you hit a certain age and you take good care of your skin, you can look the same age for a really long time. And also, we've got the Donald Glover of it all. Again, not confirmed for the Lando series, but I would be very surprised if it was not a Lando series that was mostly about Donald Glover playing Lando. So that is a unique scenario where those actors who created those roles in some way, shape, or form, or have already taken on those roles, even as younger versions of those roles, can play those roles now and get more to do. It's the same thing as like, just plugging Katie Sackhoff in there as Bo-Katan. That was awesome. It was a no-brainer for her to show up in The Mandalorian playing the character she had done the voice of. Once you get into characters who, like, we already know, like, it would just be weird to, like, have a kid who's not Adam Driver play Adam Driver.
Yeah, or even have someone who's not Luke played Luke.
Yeah, it has to have
not
like
that
not
Sebastian
Mark Hamill.
wouldn't be awesome.
No, I agree. But yeah, I mean,
it would be great. But
would be
at
great,
the same
but
time, it's like,
yeah. And this is the thing is that like, I feel like by and large, there wasn't a lot of vitriol to them announcing, oh, Donald Glover's going to play Lando. People were like, yo, sign me up. And even though I do think that Alden Ehrenreich is very good as Han Solo, there still was so much like hung up on, well, it's not Harrison Ford.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's so much there, but at the same time, it's one of those things where we don't need to see a serialized show about this moment, right?
Yeah.
Where we have a clash between Ben and Luke.
Right.
I think we get plenty of that in a comic. We get plenty of that in a film.
Right.
I don't think it's necessary for a show.
Now,
I wouldn't be mad.
If you're gonna do like an animated series, let's say about like Luke being the master of the Jedi Academy, that's different because Mark Hamill can still do Luke's voice.
Yeah, he can. Yeah. There's a lot there, but I feel like there's enough Star Wars world where we don't have to go back to like, what about Luke training in the academy? And it's like, yeah. We kind of had that though, or at least references to that with the sequels. So I feel like we're good. At least I feel like we're good. But any final questions, RB3?
We do have one more from Bill.
Bill.
The rebellion is built on hope. In these trying times, I am so grateful for more Star Wars.
Yeah,
thank you, Bill. Yeah, that's absolutely right. I feel like it's always the right time for Star Wars, but especially right now.
Yeah.
Right now is when we need these stories the most. And I really, really, really hope, especially on people who watch these shows, especially people who watch The Mandalorian, that people understand that. Because I feel like sometimes people don't. I'm sorry, guys. I get a lot. I'm on Star Wars Twitter, so I see a lot of the real bad side. I see the real bad side of Star Wars Twitter where people are misunderstanding and misinterpreting everything that they're listening to. And it's like, do you not get like this is a reference to what we are currently experiencing?
Yeah.
Because if you do get that, then you wouldn't be rooting for the real world issues that you're currently rooting for.
Right. Because Star Wars is literally on a metaphorical
the opposite
level.
of that.
100%.
Yes.
Yeah. I had that conversation with Alex Damon one time.
Yeah.
We were out at a bar in Burbank one time when he and Molly were here, and we were all just like having drinks and hanging out. And something along those lines came up where we were talking about like some of the real world stuff and some of the people who we see get angry about things. And it's like, and that are like Star Wars fans. And I'm like, I'm not sure you understand what Star Wars is about.
Yeah, and I pray they eventually get it, which is possible.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that anyone's canceled.
Absolutely.
I'm just saying, like, eventually, like, if you see these stories and if you see the
1000%.
part of the stories, you will find that, hey, maybe this isn't the way.
Yeah.
Maybe the way we're thinking it isn't exactly the way it should be.
And the more and Star Wars, I think, has been increasingly good about this. And the more that we incorporate storytellers and talent and directors of different backgrounds in at every level of production to creating the future of Star Wars, the more we get like really genuine representation. And the more we see people represented who are not like us, the more empathetic we become.
Absolutely. And I feel like that's what Star Wars has always been about.
Yeah.
It's about different planets, different species, different people coming together, rising up and saying, hey, this isn't the way it should be done. And we should come together against this kind of attitude and this kind of oppression. And on that note, thank you for watching Sabacc the Block this week, guys. Thank you to Emma for coming in clutch.
Oh man, it was a crazy day.
Lamar Jackson.
But there was so much Star Wars to talk about. I was like, we can't save this for next week. We got to go now.
Yeah, you're sprinting out of the locker room, putting on your jersey and your helmet. Yeah, coach.
Yeah.
Great episode today. Thank you so much, Emma, for joining me.
Yeah, of course.
Where can everyone find you?
I am all over the internet at my name, Emma Fyffe. Wherever Emma Fyffes are sold, that's me, Emma Fyffe. Also, you can catch me on then hosting the download Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 4 o'clock. I forgot what time my own show is on. 4 o'clock p.m. Pacific till 5:30 p.m. Pacific. We talk all kinds of gaming, pop culture, news, etc. We have a very cool project coming on Thursday that it was kind of my idea that I'm really excited to share with everybody. So be sure to check it out.
Yeah, and obviously, guys, I'm at Squad Leader Race. RB3, where can everyone find you, man?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Director RB3, and be sure to come back tomorrow on First Tab. We are doing a fundraiser live stream for our short film that I'm producing, Cardboard Castles. It's an amazing inclusive short that's really beautiful from our good friend Jonathan Romy. So be sure to come tomorrow, 6 o'clock PST, for that live stream. And
yeah, obviously, guys, make sure you subscribe right here to First Cut as well, and for the First Cut crew, and for the Sabacc the Block crew. We're peacing out. Peace out, guys.